Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 55 chainsaw. Customer complaint is that the muffler is loose. So let's get this top cover off of here and take a little bit closer look at what we have to deal with. Now the problem with having a loose muffler is a lot of times the bolts that run into the cylinder head, those can get damaged or wear the threads in a cylinder. Or the guts of the muffler and the mounting holes, they get sloppy, they get worn, and there's no just tightening it down anymore. And that's going to be the case here with this 55. So let's get this bar and chain out of our way. You know, this has got the external spike on the outside of the clutch cover. Make sure that you're aware of the way that goes back on there. I mean, it should be obvious, but I've seen people try and put it on upside down. So we're just blowing some schmutz away from the muffler there, so when we open it up, nothing falls in the exhaust port. And then blowing some of the schmutz out of the end of the bolts that we're going to turn out of this felling spike right here. And the reason we got to remove that bolt is that there's a support on the front of the muffler, and that support runs in behind that spike, and through that bolt runs through it. So let's pull these nuts off the end here. See what we got. Yeah, they get stuck in the socket a lot. There we go. So I'm just kind of lucky here actually that the nuts are just threading right off. That's not always the case. And maybe the bolts are salvageable. Probably not, just because the muffler's been flopping around on there. So here's our support, and you can see that one end, the lug is broke off of it. Here's our muffler. And the guts. Those two tubes are the shims that keep you from crushing the muffler when you tighten down the nuts over the studs. So this one here has got some wear in the threads from the muffler flopping around on it, kind of damaged it. So that'll have to get replaced. When you get to this point, I want you to take a good look at, now I'm looking at the piston right now, but that whole area around the cylinder above the tank, if there was a loose muffler, you don't know which way the exhaust gases were being pushed, and you'll want to look for some damage. On plastic bodied chainsaws, that could mean meltage. So now we realize we need a new muffler because this is augered out here. And we have a plethora of donor saws. This one here, probably I didn't grab it just because it was the best looking muffler. I probably grabbed it because of the state it was in. Cylinder cover being gone already. Easy access. That support being in good shape. You can see the lug is still on that one. So we'll clean this up a little bit and we'll examine it and make sure it's going to work for us. The front is not crushed. There's no major dents in it. It's the right shape. It matches the other muffler. Yeah, there's some damage to that tube. You can see the difference in the size of the holes there too. That old one's just worn out. I wonder how long that muffler's been flopping around on there. So this mounting face, we want to take a close look at that, because if it's not flat, then we'll just split this muffler open like the one laying on the bench and pound it flat. So we're going to just get the parts that we're not going to reuse out of the way here so I don't get it all mixed up. The old nuts, those bolts. There we go. The bolts just slide into a slot on the cylinder. They're not threaded in. That's kind of nice. So earlier when I mentioned that the threads in the cylinder can become damaged, that doesn't apply to this model. So we're putting a new gasket on. And when you slide the muffler over, you want to make sure that you're actually going through those tubes, and that one of the tubes isn't dislodged and laying off to the side or something like that. If it was, when you crank the nut down, you're going to crush the muffler. So now we have to loosen the other spike screw so that I can get that support in there where it belongs. There we go. This screw is kind of important. It's long enough that it is also the crankcase screw. So you want to make sure that's good and snug. And we'll tighten down our muffler. Look at him go. Usually when I do a muffler, I tell the customer to come back after the first heat cycle and just recheck these nuts. Or he can bring the saw back to me and I'll recheck them. Sometimes they are loose, sometimes they're not. So we tighten our felling spike. We got our muffler tight. We're going to clean the mounting pad for our bar, so when we put it on the saw, it's not got any crap between the bar and the crankcase. And we're making sure that our oiler hole is clear. Here I'm wiping the dirt off of the bar studs. And we'll get our chain on here. Filling spike, bar nuts.
How barbaric.
Yeah, how barbaric. You know, these old school saws with their adjustment screw alongside the bar here, it really has become annoying. I mean, I'm sure there was a day when no one thought any better of it, but now that we have something better with side adjustment screws on the clutch cover, you know, it's pretty barbaric. That's why I keep this cabinet screwdriver in the toolbox. Makes life a little easier. And there we go. We'll crank down these nuts. Make sure we got some go-go juice in it. You know, he didn't complain about a running issue or nothing like that. So we're going to assume we can just fire this thing up. And if it sounds good, then that's all I'm going to have for you on the Husqvarna 55 muffler swap. Thanks for watching. Later.
Stripes.